folks, if you're a gun owner in northern Gwinnett County, the far north tip of the county, House District 100, you have a choice to make in the upcoming May 24 primary on who is the pro-gun candidate in this area. We're talking about, again, this northern tip right here on Gwinnett County, right up in this top tip up in here. And what we have is a primary featuring two incumbents. As you guys know, the maps were redrawn this year after the census data from 2020. And so we have two incumbents vying for the same seat. Again, it's HD 100. And there's an awful lot of difference between these two candidates. And there's some backstory you have to know as well. So first, we'll discuss the candidates, then the backstory so you guys know what's actually going on here in this race. First, we have longtime state rep David Clark. Now, David Clark has been in office for 8 years, a longtime advocate and ally for gun owners in the legislature, a reliable gun rights champion the entire time. And David surveyed with GGO 100% pro-gun. So again, what that means is not only has he promised to vote pro-gun, David has promised, if reelected, to lead in the fight for gun rights by sponsoring pro-gun bills, specifically the Second Amendment Preservation Act, bills to repeal deadly gun-free zones, and more. So naturally, not a big surprise, he's 100% opposed to red flag gun seizures, any attempt to ban our AR-15s, universal background checks, aka a statewide gun registry. This is a major push for Stacey Abrams and National Democrats and rhinos in Washington, D.C. Opposed to waiting periods, opposed to everything. David Clark's survey, frankly, matches his record in the state capitol, 100% pro-gun. It's never been in doubt. That's David Clark. Now, Bonnie Rich, you might be saying to yourself, why do I see David Ralston's photograph up here with Bonnie Rich? We'll get to that in a moment. I promised some context. Bonnie Rich is refusing to tell anybody where she stands on the Second Amendment. She is a relative newcomer to the legislature compared to David Clark, and she will not tell anybody how she would vote on the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Same thing when it comes to repealing deadly gun-free zones, red flag gun seizures. I mean, some of these are very simple. Either you support due process and the idea that you shouldn't be disarmed before you're ever convicted in court, or you don't. It's not a hard question, but Bonnie Rich will not publicly condemn red flag gun seizures. She will not say that she is a hard no vote on any attempt to ban our AR-15s or 30-round magazines. She will not publicly oppose universal background checks, which again are a statewide gun registry. And she will not publicly condemn or say how she would vote when it comes to required waiting periods on gun sales. And again, the question we always have to ask as gun owners is why? Why would somebody who is in a really contested primary, when they need the help of gun owners, why would they publicly oppose to tell me where they stand, me as in the voter, on this issue? If they won't tell me where they stand now when they need my vote, how can I count on them to have my back and defend my gun rights when they're in office and they don't need my vote for 24 months down the road? That's the question that you guys are asking us. And when it comes to Bonnie Rich, there is nothing good to tell you about the answers to these questions. When candidates won't survey, it is almost always a sign that they are part of the rhino establishment and intent on betraying gun owners. Now, in the case of Bonnie Rich, we don't even have to use that verbiage, almost always a sign. Bonnie Rich is David Ralston's girl in the Georgia House. I'm going to say it again. Bonnie Rich is David Ralston's girl in the Georgia House. She is the only freshman in our knowledge of the entire assembly to ever get elected and be given a chairmanship her first year in office. That never happens with an unvetted, untested freshman in the legislature. And she has been, as a member of leadership, David Ralston's henchman working behind the scenes to attack conservatives, to attack gun bills, and to kill bills in committee since the first day she walked in the Georgia State House several years ago. Everything that Bonnie Rich says and does is controlled by David Ralston. And for everybody on this page, you know that David Ralston has been the #1 enemy to gun owners for a very long time here in Georgia, and is the reason why it took 10 years to finish the fight for constitutional carry. And again, Bonnie Rich is his girl. Now, some people are, well, I'm just going to skip going down that road. One of the things I wanted to mention, however, was a recent endorsement that Bonnie Rich picked up from a fellow Republican in the legislature. And a couple of you called and asked us about this. Some of you know the name Mandy Ballinger, Representative Mandy Ballinger. She was actually the author of House Bill 1358, which was the dueling constitutional carry bill that was working in the process last session here in Atlanta. Mandy Ballinger just came out with an endorsement supporting Bonnie Rich. And before I read the part of this I want to read, I want to be clear on something. Mandy Ballinger is David Ralston's other girl. What can I say? The guy has a lot of girls. And Mandy Ballinger's initial draft of constitutional carry this year was so bad that we publicly opposed it. And we encouraged all of our members to contact their rep and say, we will not support this garbage. After GGO Nation engaged, the bill was fixed. After you guys thumped them, the bill basically mirrored what we've been doing with Senate Bill 319. But Mandy Ballinger, on orders from her daddy, David Ralston, drafted a horrific version of constitutional carry. It would have set us back here in Georgia, and she only did the right thing once GGO members made it clear to David Ralston that we're not going to accept this horrible version of this bill. So that is who Mandy Ballinger is. No big surprise that she endorsed Bonnie Rich. There's one thing, though, that you still have to know. You see, David Clark was not present for the 2022 legislative session. Say it again, David Clark was not present for the 2022 legislative session. He was excused all session long. You may say to yourself, why? Why would he miss that and not do his job? Because David Clark is also a member of the United States military, and David Clark was gone all session to Green Beret training with the American Special Forces out of state. Pretty good damn reason to miss the Georgia General Assembly this year, being gone at Special Forces training to defend his country. So I want to read a portion of this endorsement then that Bonnie Rich is pushing on her social media page from Mandy Ballinger. She says, as the primary author of constitutional carry this year, and again, like I said, she was, of a horrible bill that you guys made her fix, I rely on the steady support of fellow House members to get pro-gun measures across the finish line, says Ballinger. Ballinger didn't do a damn thing. It was GGO members who forced this bill across the finish line. Everyone knows that. I can always count on Bonnie Rich to help. She votes for these measures and speaks publicly of her support. Unlike her opponent, who didn't even bother to show up to vote on constitutional carry this year. Folks, I've been around a long time in politics, done a lot of campaign work, done a lot of advocacy work. I have never in my entire career seen a pathetic slimeburger like Mandy Ballinger attack a Republican incumbent for missing a vote when they were gone in service of this country. I have never heard of somebody being attacked for missing a vote being gone in special forces training in my entire life. Have you? Have you? Can you imagine the depths of the moderate rhino swamp to be willing to author this trash? To attack this guy for missing a vote on a bill that he's publicly championed for years because he's gone in the mud training for months to be a Green Beret for our country. Mandy Ballinger should be ashamed of herself, but much more importantly, Bonnie Rich should be ashamed of herself. Bonnie Rich is the one who put this trash on her Facebook page. Folks, this is what we're talking about when we say that rhino swamp we have here in the state capitol. David Ralston runs this harem of rhinos. And certainly Bonnie Rich is a part of this, make no mistake. So folks, if you're a voter, again, in the top corner of Gwinnett County, right up here in the very peak of this district, if you bump into Bonnie Rich, you should tell her she should be ashamed of herself for attacking David Clark, for missing this vote when he was on an excused absence in service for his country. And you should ask her to stop hiding her views when it comes to your gun rights. Sure, Bonnie, you voted for constitutional carry. Big deal. The entire legislature did after we forced you guys to put the bill on the floor. How are you going to vote on other issues going forward? That is a question you guys have to ask her. Be sure and not let her off the hook. And again, thank David Clark for serving his country. Thank David Clark for fighting for constitutional carry. And thank David Clark for promising in writing to vote pro-gun and lead the fight for our gun rights if he's sent back to Atlanta. Folks, this one's important. Share our video on social media, share it by email, make sure everyone in Gwinnett County knows where these two candidates stand. There's a lot riding on this, folks. Get the word out, get the facts in people's hands. And guys, join our fight for freedom today at www.joingggo.com.